Juliet, let me welcome you to the conversation.
Good afternoon, sir.
Great. Looking at you, I say you're a young person, and the Independent National Electoral Commission says so many young people have registered for the election of next month. You are contesting the House of Representatives in the FCT. As a young person, have you sensed, have you noticed, has it happened to you that you are very accepted to young people of your generation?
Okay, the honest truth is this. Considering the fact that we've been able to have entrance into some of the communities, and this has been aided by this young persons, for me, I feel there's a high rate of acceptance. In fact, even from the social media, because be it as it may, no matter how we try to downplay the effect of social media, it has actually done more good for me, because the audience in which I'm likely and I've been willing to engage with are those who can actually understand the basics. And they are actually people who can visit the social medias, not gallivanting, but actually wanting to listen to what's happening around them. So we've been able to get their attention on Twitter, on Facebook. In fact, parents also go to Facebook, so it's not just the social media thing for young people. So Facebook, the WhatsApp, and we've been able to translate this to our physical communities, which has enabled me access, and you get to hear a lot of them calling, barrister, can we get your posters? Can we get your stickers? We've seen you everywhere. In fact, we'll paste for you. And a lot of videos come in and we see, in fact, even until last night at 1 a.m., we've still been expecting a whole lot of more people to come pick up posters and show us videos of what they're doing. So I feel we've been able to attract the audience of young people, yes, and also others.
Now, you're representing a constituency of the FCT in the House of Representatives. That's supposed to mean that you must be conscious of the challenges, the problems of the FCT, especially in the constituency you are representing. What are those challenges that the people are talking about that you think you can address by being a member of the National Assembly?
Okay, the first issue is on strong advocacy for the most glaring needs, and the needs are they are quite obvious, and it relates to infrastructure. And infrastructure relates to those things in which enables people live better lives, enables them to appreciate life in their society. And it's unfortunate that we have so many lack of infrastructure when it comes to the Amac and Bwari, which is the constituency I am going to be representing. And also for someone like me who was born in the FCT 28 years ago, I've been able to understand that so many things befall us as a people. I mean us, because as children being raised here, being bred here, I will tell you I'm part and parcel of FCT. And so if you go to places like Igu, you go to places like Kawo, you go to places, there are rural places in the FCT, and they lack basic amenities. Even in Kubwa, where I was born, the basic healthcare centers are not working. The primary healthcare centers, they are not enough to fit for purpose. And the purpose is to make sure that the basic facilities are provided for your people, enable maternity care to be dispensed with immediate effect. We also have the issue of lack of water when it comes to places like Shere, Ego. They don't have basic amenities when it comes to drinking water, having access to water, and understanding that we have the dam here, which can actually be adequate for the persons living in this vicinity. It's just appalling. We also have the educational system, which is falling behind standard, whereby we have educational facilities that are not enough to accommodate people. You go to places like Ushafa, they complain about this. You go to Bwari Central, there are so many things, even the good roads, especially understanding that FCT provides the quarry, whereby you can get the granite, a lot of things, asphalt that can be able to be used for the roads. And you still see areas, if you go to places like Port Harcourt, you see that even in streets, they talk about good roads. So why can't we have it here in FCT? And when I talked about advocacy is actually what representation is about, because you are not the executive, but you can actually champion a cause, direct people's thoughts towards a process to understand, to make them understand that this can be done when we have the right conversation, we make awareness, and we aid the government to assist the people. And we are also talking about another way we can also function. The needs are relating to the women. I feel that we have a lot more young people, especially women, who are not um, energized to participate in politics. No matter how we see it, politics is not dirty. The way we're going as a country, even the foreigners understand this. If we're not politically conscious, it's as if we're aiding our country to destruction, and it's not right.
Let me create a matter of political consciousness. You are representing just a constituency of the FCT, or you desire to represent a constituency, a federal constituency in the FCT, in the House of Representatives. But the FCT, the budget of the FCT, the entire FCT, is determined, is passed by the National Assembly. The structure of administration of FCT now is headed by a political appointee who is not immediately responsible to your constituents, but he manages the budget. He prepares the budget. You are not going to prepare the budget. For somebody who is accountable to the people to manage their affairs at that executive level, have you ever reverted your mind to the suggestion right from the creation of the FCT that the FCT should have an elected mayor? Have you reverted your mind?
Oh yes, yes. But the honest truth is, in as much as we want a mayoral position for FCT in order to take the position of take the powers and functions that the FCT minister is playing today, we should also understand that FCT, it has become multi-dynamic in culture, in practice, the way people live their lives. So what we should now be talking about is people who are competent enough, who can actually function well, and then holding them accountable, and what we should then therefore reorganize their functions.
That's why I raised this question,
Yes.
and I want you to address, if you don't
Yes,
mind.
yes.
When a candidate, a mayor candidate, campaigns, he makes the people promises to which the people can hold him. The minister of FCT did not campaign to the people, and the people cannot hold him to account for a promise he never made.
True.
Therefore, a mayor seems to me a political position that is arrived at by the people's mandate.
Absolutely.
Do you revert your mind to that?
Oh yes, and then he will now almost function. Thank God we were not calling him the governor now, but the function he will almost be playing will now almost be like the governor. And I think it's very necessary, because for the House of Reps and the Senate, it's not enough. We should not center the powers of the executive on the Senate, because that's what, and the House of Reps, that's what I've been seeing has been going on over the years in FCT, whereby the people see the legislators, when it relates to FCT, as the executives. So now this mayor, I feel we should actually amend the constitution to provide, as I was talking about, the reorganization of its functions to suit the purpose of FCT, whereby FCT can have executive functions and not just being limited to the local government alone. They can be an overseeing body that now makes FCT like a region on its own. But yes, we can have the federal government actually administering a lot of things, serving the oversight functions when it comes to the federal and the federation. But somebody who actually performs the executive position and is empowered, when I mean empowered by the people, he is actually voted in by the people. People actually knows that he is responsible to them, and not they are not responsible to him. They are not to worship him. So I think there needs to be an organization of our constitution. But these conversations cannot have a headway if we don't have people with the right advocacy skills who are willing to engage in this conversation, who are not going to worship the floor or the feet of the executives. And that's why I keep on telling Nigerians that there's so much to engage the legislators going forward in our country, in our political structure, in our governance system. It's even residing on the legislative than even the executives, because there's so much constitutional amendment that needs to take place, and the executive don't have the powers to do so. But when you've handicapped the legislators, you're making them now do the biddings of the executives, and this conversation has to be engineered, generated, and instigated by the people, so that they look out for what they want their
Yeah,
legislators
but do
to
the
be.
people really understand these things we're talking about?
And that's why I'm very, very optimistic about the audience I am actually targeting, because it's not my fault that people were uneducated. I'm just a young person. I was never holding any political position, so I cannot be held accountable for the illiteracy in the land. But now that it has affected a whole lot of us, and even the literates are now affected, it's time to go back to the drawing board. Introspection is necessary at this point. That's why we are engaging the literates, those that understand the basic functions of a legislator, to be able to, in various, and that's why when I campaign, I don't campaign just for my city alone, because I know I want to represent Nigeria at the National Assembly. So every of the 360 representatives are also going to be taken into consideration when it comes to passing up bills. So yes, you want to represent your people, but you do not do work in isolation. You work with people, and that's where lobbying comes in. And that's why it's an appeal to the Nigeria as a whole to not get distracted by just the presidential seats alone. They should actually look forward to getting in 360 right-thinking members of society and 309 senators who actually understand, and as well as their state assemblies. So when laws, because you see some laws passing are being passed even from the state level, and they function, and before you know, the National Assembly emulates.
Let me draw you back.
Yes.
You are an indigene of the FCT because you are born, bred, buttered, and sandwiched in Abuja.
Absolutely.
Great. I'm a little bit worried that even your gender makes me sad. I should be happy for you. But in culture and in perception, are people tend to say, can a woman do this? Are you being affected by this cultural negativity as you campaign, as you move around? What have you experienced?
The honest truth is this: most people who have given me a platform, I'm not saying the women haven't. In fact, women have actually been good. But the thing is that we're not talking about just the, in fact, it's a mixed blend. The men have actually been receptive. So I would say that whatever culture has actually made the women feel that they are not competent enough, I feel it's time for them to undo that culture, because they have power too. Because the men are not going to they are not going to push them away if they actually go about it the right way. And now that they are raising up kids, I feel that these young girls who are actually educated, who have just sent to school, because unlike before where women don't even have access to quality education, it has changed. I feel that these young women can have a way of upturning things. So I feel the culture will not limit their thoughts. But the men have actually given us room. In fact, in the course of my campaign, the youths who are exerting their energy includes majorly even the men. We have lots of young girls, which I'm very excited about. In fact, it gives me joy that we are raising a generation of young women who actually see politics as not violent, not you are not insultive, you're not rude. You pass your message in the most intellectual manner, and people want to listen. You are becoming a voice. We have persons like Okonjo-Iweala, and you don't see her shouting in the room. You don't see these people being in boardroom meetings. You're saying they are now becoming loud because they want to pass their message, but their intellectual prowess works for them. So it's time we have to appreciate this. I know that, okay, yes, as women, we have a lot of limitations, maybe when it comes to childbearing, when it comes to marriage, but there are still some women who life has given opportunities. If they show forth, support these women. Is Okonjo-Iweala, she's married. Late Dora Akuyele, she was married. Stella Odedevo, they were married. They have kids. So what then limits these women to contribute to their society? So when we have conversations like this and make the woman understand that it's not about fighting or making your
loudest noise.
loudest noise, but there are ways to go about it tactically. And I think that's what Esther in the Bible also used. And that was how she was able to liberate her people. Yes, she said, if I perish, I perish. But you can see boldness in her, but you can see tactic means of going about these things in the words what the scripture says about her. So for me, I think that's even something emulatable. Yes, we've been having reception, but I feel more women. I don't even want to base more on the men, because we have our way of talking to these men. and we've gotten the acceptance. And in fact, I thank them. In fact, even people like you on this set, giving me the opportunity to talk to a larger audience about my own vision. It's a plus for me. It's a plus. And so if we have more women not being agitated, because when I go out to meetings, I see some the way in fact their voices are even the loudest in the room. And if not encouraging, some are tearing down. And I feel it's not right. And because most of them I always have an answer for them. I tell you, I hope your 28 years old daughters, if they actually want to actually contribute to nation building, I hope another woman will not do the same. And immediately they will restrain, they will just shrink in. And then I'll say, now let's go back to the issues. The issues you should be asking me, and not trying to tell me if I'm married, I'm not married. Those are not the conversations, but asking, how can you contribute to nation building? I think that's the conversation as women we need to have amongst ourselves. Have a similar ideology. I know they said Rome was not built in the day, but step by step we're going to get there. So when we start preaching for ideologies amongst ourselves, we have a high number. The INEC already has said a lot of women have registered, and in fact, it's almost in tandem with the men. So why are we not having these votes when it comes to elections? So there's conversations like that. We just need to have it. I know this opportunity will not be enough to talk about these issues, but I know that we will get there if the women just come to table and have the right ideologies.
I'm going to ask you two other questions, but first, how have you weighed, you as a person, how have you weighed your chances in this election?
I've been very critical about my chances. I've also accepted reality, and I'm still not going to give up. I will not give up. We're going to the polls just like I did in February 2022 when I ran for the council. I went to the polls, and it was out of that doggedness that brought us here, because they said hard work. Once you the reward for hard work is more work. So that's what we are actually doing right now. And the weighing the options is that I feel, like I said, I am actually banking on the enlightened, the intellectuals. I'm actually banking on the youth, because just like we talked about the women, the youth also feel they are marginalized. But I feel if we have the common ideology, start building because it's not about just coming on election period to talk about what you need, but building from the structure level, that where you don't hear on the TVs that people are doing primaries. You have actually built your ward level structure when it comes to polling unit structures. We built a ward level, state levels. We actually go back. That's after the election. But not to digress, I'm actually banking on those youths. I'm actually banking on the women. And I feel that if these three demography, the enlightened, which includes our elders, the people who are residents in FCT, who actually understand the pain, because my personality and my lifestyle, my bio appeals to their own kids. So it's not far off from the issues which their own children will likely face, even if it's not glaring right now. So those people are actually bank on. And I hope that something good will actually win. And I'm positive that if we do the right thing, we just need a clear, just 200 votes, 200,000 votes, and we can get it across polling units in the FCT. We can get it. Amac and Bwari. And Amac and Bwari is a demography that actually has these people which I'm talking about, these enlightened people, these young people, these men, women of status, caliber, and people who want more out of life. So I'm positive. I'm positive it will come out great.
I'd want to congratulate you at the end of the polls when the time comes. That should be on the 25th of
February.
Next month.
Exactly.
I'd want to congratulate you. But before that congratulation comes, what is your party doing to sell your candidature to the electorate? Your own party. By the way, your party is African Democratic Congress, ADC. What is your party doing to sell your candidature to the electorate? You've told us what you are doing, but you are the product of your party.
Yes, I keep saying it that I wouldn't have even gone this far if not for the blessings and the support of the national. But it's not just there. Everybody, we need everybody. Politics is not just a one man's role. It's something you work with everybody put together, and we've been able to generate some agents who are going to be polling unit agents. But I would want to paint issues or make it look as if it's not glaring. It's a growing party, and the obvious issues when it comes to structures, it's not there. You see people leaving parties because they are not getting the financial benefit. It's just sad. And as a party, we've gone through a whole lot. You saw when we were on the internet for a whole lot of party conflicts and all. But we still have some people who are actually believing in the youth when it comes to the national chairman, in person of Chief Raf Wonsu. You see people like that who actually, because of him, we actually have a candidacy today because he saw what we did as talent and creativity in the councillorship election and actually say, okay, women, youths, come and play on a level playing ground in the primaries. And I came and I won on a landslide. I was the only candidate in FCT who ran opposed. Others were unopposed. So it was just, for me, it was an opposed election, a tough one. So when you look at things like that, and then even the how far I've come working alone when it comes to declaring support for an opposition party, which it has been on everywhere, all the news, it was actually done for the people of FCT, because on going to the field, I saw what the people needed. And I said, okay, if it's for FCT that works, then let's go with another party, a candidate from another party. So when you come to issues like not being sued, anti-party, and all that, we saw what happened to Chimaroke recently in the news. When you look at issues like that, you see if the party have not done this, then therefore we have their support. Because imagine if you're going to court now to start battling anti-party, it's already a distraction. So for us, and it's only your party that can do that, for us to have this time, this level playing ground, for me, it's a blessing. Like I said, Rome was not built in a day. We hope that come 2026, we have achieved a party structure that youths, enlightened people have formed the world level structure, the state level structure, and it does not just entail one person. One person can't do it alone. And now that it's all about money, we have to go back to selflessness and patriotism for party, and then build ideologies. I'm sure sooner or later we'll get there and we'll be able to make the party better.
I'm just about to conclude. There's a question I think I need a little more of education. You are a lawyer. You've mentioned that there be need to converse on a constitutional amendment that could warrant the coming of a mayor. Have you looked at this constitution and see where the FCT is shortchanged? And that shortchanging can be made good by some amendment of the constitution. Is there any other areas you think can be touched up to make the FCT benefit more and better from governance, that it is handicapped now the way the constitution is structured?
You see, I've followed through other candidates, other past legislators, and I've seen how they went about wanting this mayoral position for someone in FCT. I've followed through. And I think the constitution is very strict when it comes to section 9, sub 1, about alteration of the constitution. And I know of the likelihood of money politics, whereby there will be a lot of lobbying to make sure this bill does not pass, because like we have already highlighted, is a political office whereby somebody becomes, who is the minister of FCT, oversees everything relating to the administration, executive administration. And so we know there will be challenges. I won't lie about that. There have been some challenges about other bills in the past, but we can still do more advocacy to making the people conscious, because first of all, it's stirring up the minds of the people to demand for it. So when a local election comes, they can actually now start passing these laws within the local councils, and then it starts going uproar, and before you know, a referendum, the people now start passing a vote of no confidence in the minister. There's a lot of agitation, and things will happen. But me going there to do it alone, if we don't get the people, I will just be blunt. I'm a lawyer and I will speak to fact. It can't happen. And that's why this consciousness about advocacy, that's why I started with awareness and advocacy about issues for the needs of the people, needs to be championed more. As somebody who understands it and know how to go about it, the technical know-how is very essential.
Juliet, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.